Welcome to this analysis of federal regulations. Look, if you're a young professional just stepping into the world of manufacturing compliance, staring down hundreds of pages of federal codes, well, it can feel a bit like trying to read a foreign language, right? It's dense, it's intimidating, and yeah, the stakes are incredibly high. But here's the good news. You absolutely do not need a law degree to master this stuff. Today, we're going to break down these complex manufacturing rules specifically for concentrated, medicated ingredients into easy, actionable concepts. We're essentially going to translate all that heavy regulatory jargon into a clear, straightforward roadmap for success. So think about this for a second. What actually happens when a single, tiny measuring mistake compromises an entire supply chain? It's a pretty chilling thought. In the pharmaceutical and ag industries, a math error or just a dirty piece of equipment, that doesn't just mean a bad day at the office. We're talking massive product recalls, severe harm to livestock, and honestly, even threats to the human food supply. The regulations we're unpacking today, they aren't just arbitrary red tape designed to slow your day down. Strict compliance is literally the ultimate safeguard. It's the protective wall standing between a thriving agricultural system and, well, absolute disaster. Okay, so what exactly are we regulating here? Let's define our core subject. A concentrated medicated ingredient, which you'll often hear regulators call a Type A medicated article, is a highly potent, heavily regulated drug mixture, and it's designed exclusively to be diluted into animal feed. The absolute crucial word here is concentrated. These are incredibly powerful, undiluted substances. You literally cannot feed them directly to an animal. Because they pack such a punch, the margin for error during their creation is practically zero. That immense power requires immense care. To get a real grasp on how to handle these substances, we're going to walk through the whole product lifecycle. Here is our agenda. First, the basics of the regulation. Second, facilities, equipment, and personnel. Third, safe production and quality control. Fourth, laboratory testing and packaging. Fifth, maintaining flawless records. And finally, why strict compliance actually matters. All right, let's jump right in. Section 1, the basics of the regulation, building a foundation of safety. It's kind of amazing how pages and pages of dense legal text essentially boil down to 5 core pillars. Every single batch you manufacture has to meet these specific requirements: verified safety, confirmed identity, accurate strength, exceptional quality, and uncompromised purity. Basically, if a product claims to have a certain level of an antibiotic, it needs exactly that amount. No more, no less. And here's a pretty fascinating detail. The regulations actually encourage you to use cutting-edge automated equipment to hit those pillars. You don't have to mix everything by hand. But there's a catch. You can only use that precision tech if you have adequate human oversight to confirm the machines are actually doing their jobs right. Because your very first line of defense isn't a machine, it's your highly trained, perfectly qualified team. The rules explicitly mandate that the people running your facility, plus any consultants you bring in, absolutely must have the specific education and practical experience needed to guarantee product safety. Honestly, you could have the most expensive robotic mixers in the world, but if the operators don't have the background to spot a potential mix-up, your whole operation is out of compliance. People really are the heartbeat of quality control. Moving on to Section 2, facilities, equipment, and personnel, the high-stakes kitchen. I actually like to think of a compliant manufacturing facility as a highly regulated, high-stakes commercial kitchen. Think about it. In a restaurant, cross-contaminating raw chicken and fresh vegetables is a massive failure, right? Well, in our world, cross-contaminating concentrated drugs is a catastrophic one. The regulations absolutely despise a chaotic, cramped workspace. Your physical building has to provide dedicated, controlled storage and well-lit, adequately ventilated zones. You need entirely separate areas for receiving raw ingredients, doing the actual mixing, holding the finished product, and storing labels. And here is a huge red flag to watch out for. You can never, ever use your medicated workspaces to mix or store agricultural pesticides, rodent killers, or insecticides. Total separation is the key to preventing disastrous mix-up. And it's not just the rooms themselves, it's the tools inside them. Your equipment must be totally non-reactive, perfectly grounded, and impossible to contaminate. Now, what does that actually mean in plain English? It means your mixing vats can't be made of a porous material that might absorb the medication. Your machines definitely can't leak industrial lubricants into the batch. They have to be super easy to access for deep cleaning, and my personal favorite detail, they must be electrically grounded. Why? Well, static electricity can actually cause powdered medications to cling to the sides of a machine, which completely ruins the uniformity of your mix. Literally every physical detail matters. All right, Section 3 is safe production and quality control, the manufacturing checkpoints. Now we're stepping out of the setup phase and onto the actual production floor. This is where close, active monitoring really prevents those catastrophic supply chain issues we talked about at the start. To keep production safe, the rules require a sequential flow of verification. Let's walk through it. Step 1, you must actively check the identity of every raw material coming in. Step 2, a competent individual has to verify the exact weight of the components before they even go into the mix. Step 3, you monitor the mixing equipment to make sure the blend is perfectly uniform. And step 4, you must reconcile the final batch yields. And the most important part, at every single one of these critical junctures, a qualified human being has to physically sign off and take full responsibility for that specific step. I want to pause on that 4th step for a second, because there is a guiding principle here that you absolutely must memorize. If what you planned to make doesn't match what you actually made, you have to hit the brakes immediately. So what is a theoretical yield? Simply put, it's the amount of product the math says you should have at the end of the day. If the math says you should have 1,000 pounds of finished product, but the scale says you only have 900 pounds, yeah, you've got a massive problem. Where exactly did that 100 pounds of highly concentrated medication go? A significant weight discrepancy is a huge red flag. The rules state clearly that you must halt distribution right then and there. You cannot ship that batch until you investigate and figure out exactly what went wrong. Which brings us to Section 4, Laboratory Testing and Packaging, proving what you made. You see, making the product correctly is really only half the battle. You also have to scientifically prove its exact makeup before it ever leaves the building. Federal rules require distinct laboratory testing schedules, and it all depends on what you're starting with. If you are manufacturing a batch straight from raw, undiluted drugs, the scrutiny is at its absolute highest. You have to test every single batch you produce to ensure it meets the required strength and purity. But if you're making a product by diluting an already tested mixture, the rules ease up just a tiny bit, but only after you prove your reliability. In that scenario, you test the first 5 consecutive batches. If they all pass perfectly, you can drop down to testing just 5% of your future batches. But listen, if even one batch fails, you go right back to testing every single one until you hit 5 perfect consecutive runs again. Once the lab finally gives you the green light, we move on to packaging. And the golden rule here is that perfect label matching prevents the right product from going into the wrong hands. Mislabeled medication is incredibly dangerous medication. Because of that, your facility needs incredibly strict controls over your label inventory. You have to ensure that the exact quantities of labels issued match the number of containers being filled. Plus, every single label needs a unique lot or control number. Think of that number as the product's fingerprint. If a problem pops up months later, that lot number is what allows you to trace the product all the way back to the exact day it was mixed and the specific people who mixed it. And that leads us perfectly into Section 5, maintaining flawless records, the paper trail. For all the young professionals tuning into this analysis, let me give you the single best piece of compliance advice you will ever hear. In the eyes of federal regulators, if it isn't documented, it just didn't happen. Every single product you manufacture requires an unalterable blueprint known as the master formula record. It has to contain incredibly precise details. We're talking exact ingredient names, the precise weights of those ingredients, along with any legally permitted variations, and the specific mixing times required to get a uniform blend. It also has to include that theoretical yield calculation we talked about earlier. And to ensure absolute integrity, this master document can't be finalized by just one person. It requires dual signatures, one competent professional to prepare it, and the second independent expert to double-check and endorse it. Now, I want you to burn a specific number into your memory right now, 2. Federal rules strictly mandate that all your inventory logs, your specific batch production records, your distribution history showing exactly where every product shipped, and any complaint files, they all must be kept on hand for exactly 2 years after the product is distributed. Regulators absolutely do not accept the dog ate my batch record as an excuse. If an inspector asks for a distribution record from 22 months ago, you need to be able to hand it to them without a second of hesitation. And speaking of records, let's be real. Even with perfect manufacturing, things can sometimes go wrong once the product is out in the real world. That's exactly why you have to have a formal procedure for handling safety or efficacy complaints. The sequence is super clear. First, you receive the complaint, whether it's written or verbal. Second, competent personnel must formally evaluate it. Third, you take appropriate corrective action if needed. And fourth, you file that entire process away for, yep, you guessed it, 2 years. Ignoring customer feedback isn't just bad business practice. Under these regulations, it is a direct violation of compliance.
Let's bring this all together in Section 6, Why Strict Compliance Matters, the Ultimate Goal.
We've covered the buildings, the mixing, the labs, and all the paperwork. But now we need to remember why we actually go through all of this effort in the first place. The entire purpose of these mandates is to guarantee that every single drop of medication reaching a farm is pure, precise, and flawless safe for the end consumer. It is so easy to get bogged down in the mundane daily tasks of checking boxes and signing forms, I know, but you always have to remember the real human and animal stakes behind that paperwork. When you verify a weight, or ground a machine, or lock away a pesticide, you are actively protecting the food supply chain. You are making sure that livestock receive exactly the medicine they need to be healthy, without risking dangerous residues. So, I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. If an inspector walked into your facility today, right now, would your process survive the scrutiny? Would your team know exactly what to do? Would your theoretical yields actually match your actual yields? Would your records from 2 years ago be easily accessible? Remember, compliance isn't just a one-time event, it is a daily culture of precision. Take these concepts, apply them to your own operations, and really master your readiness. Thank you so much for joining me for this analysis, and keep striving for that perfect batch.
If you found this helpful or want to stay updated when this regulation changes, subscribe and support the channel. And if you need the full technical details on this CFR, click the link in the description below. See you next time.